Hello everyone, this is Dad Rocks One, back with another simple tutorial for the Dark Tower Minecraft server. If you're interested, the Dark Tower server is a great little vanilla community. We do have claims and economy set up, so I'm going to cover one of the items that is most commonly misunderstood or more challenging in the economy piece, and that is simply making trade signs. Now, a trade sign is basically a sign with a command to it that if a player comes up and right clicks on it, they will be able to purchase the item detailed there for the price that it shows. As the player who's selling the items, your trade signs allow you to store a lot of items on it safely so nobody can steal them or grief it, and be able to have a storefront or an items for sale and make server money. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look at the anatomy of a trade signs. Again, trade signs are signs that sell items to another player. There's three basic lines to every trade sign, and we're going to go through them one by one. Line one of the trade sign is quite simply the word trade in between two outer brackets. This simply establishes the command parameters of the sign itself, saying that this is a trade sign. Line two is basically your price. You have to have a dollar sign and then your number. Your number can include cents, so if you wanted to charge a 50 cent or 75 or 38 cents, whatever you wish, you can put it on there, but it has to have a dollar sign. And this simply sets the price per the quantity that the sign is selling. Line 3 is the more complicated of the lines, and this has three separate pieces to it. The first one is the quantity of the item that you are selling. However many, whenever I click the sign once, this is how many items I will get. The second one is the ID or name of the item that you're selling. Now, one of the tricks to this is to try to use the item ID. The problem with names is sometimes they run very long. Sea lantern would be a little bit difficult to put on there and still maintain the space to the sign. So it's highly recommended that you use the ID numbers and then put a frame with the item in it or another sign denoting what the item is being sold. This way you can ensure that you can get the item information on here. So you'll have the quantity of the item you're selling, the ID and the name or the name, then a colon, and you have to have the colon there, and then however many items you have in hand that you'll be placing on the sign when you create it. Now please note, if you do not have enough items, or if you do not have any of the items, the sign may not work. If you have 77 of an item and you're selling them in blocks of 16 or 32, it is only going to take amounts out of your inventory in the quantity that you are selling. So if you had 77 and you're selling 32, it's going to take 64 of those items and put them in there for the sign to be able to sell. Okay, so once again, the line item is trade, and the dollar sign with the price, and then the quantity, space, the ID or name of the item, colon, and then the amount that you have in inventory. If you have none in inventory, the sign will not work, so make sure you have the items on hand. If you ever wish to add additional items to the inventory on the sign, simply hold them in your hand, right click on the sign, it'll automatically upload them back into the sign. Again, note if you don't have the right amount in your hands, it may not take all of them, or if you do not have enough for the minimum quantity, it won't take any and just tell you there's an error. But they're really easy to restock. Just put them in your hand and right click the sign. Let's give a couple of examples. The first one is an example using the item name. And again, we were talking about how the name can be too long, but you see trade. I'm charging $100. I'll be getting 32 slime balls per click, and I currently have an inventory in the sign of 64. So 2 clicks and my sign will be empty. Now, if this had been sea lanterns or orange wool or something like this, it might have been a little bit too long for that line 3 to be able to take all the information. So let's take a look at example number 2. This is where we're using the item ID number. So we have trade. I'm charging $100. You get 32 slime balls, which are ID number 341, and I have 64 in stock on the sign. Again, pretty simple stuff. Line 3 is the most confusing, or can be the most confusing, so just understanding the structure of it makes it a lot easier. Now we're going to look at reverse trade signs. Reverse trade signs are basically signs that buy the item from the player. So if I'm a player and I want a little extra money and I happen to have a large quantity of, say, birchwood, and you happen to be buying birchwood on your sign, when I right-click the sign, you'll get the birchwood and I'll get the money as the player. This is a good way for new players to make a little extra money from easy to get items so that they can gain a little bit of income so they can buy the more expensive and harder to find items. So most shops like to try to have one or two of these up there for people to buy useful items or sell the expensive items that don't get a lot of use, like gold bars if you don't use a lot of notch apples. So they're useful to get some players a little bit of extra cash in their pocket to spend in the rest of your store. So let's look at this structure. Again, there's 3 lines. Line 1, again, is trade. Simply establishes some trade parameters. Line 2 is a little bit different. Line 2 is the quantity name or the ID number. The quantity is the number of items that they're going to get, that they're going to sell to the sign for each click. The item or ID number has to be separated by a space, and again, that is simply the item that is there. Once more, the names of certain items can be exceptionally long, so it's preferred to use the ID numbers to make sure your information fits. Line 3 is the price per item. How much am I buying that item from you for? And then you separate a colon and then the $bank. Now, the bank is simply the amount of money that I am sticking in this sign to buy items from other players. You do not need the $sign in front of the bank. I have the $sign in this example simply because it says the money in the bank. So it would be the $sign and a number, colon, and then a number. And the number on the right side of the colon will be the amount that you put into the sign. Once that amount reaches 0, no other players can sell to it because there's no more money in the bank. So let's take a look at examples of this. The first one, we're going to use the ID number. And similar to the other signs for the earlier examples, I'm doing slime blocks. So I will be buying 32 slime blocks, 32, and the number ID is 341, for $32 per purchase. So you give me 32 slime blocks, I'll give you $32. My current bank on the sign is $96. So when 3 purchases happen, that'll hit 0, and I will no longer be able to buy from players. Now again, we're going to show the example with the ID name, the item name. And again, it's 32 stone for $2 for 32, and I have 48 in the bank. So you bring me 32 stone, I'll give you $2, and when my $48 is gone, it's gone. Now you'll see on line 2 on both of these signs that you've got a :0 in line 2. When you create the signs, it will automatically put that there for you. That's basically how much money you have made so far on this sign. So if somebody comes up and clicks my stone sign, I'm going to have 32 stone, and then $2, because somebody will have bought it. I'm sorry, it would have been 32 stone, 32, meaning I have 32 stone and somebody bought it for $2. So it's not exceptionally difficult to set them up once you know the structure to it. I'll go and set this up here so you guys can get a screenshot. I'll come over here and give you guys another opportunity for a screenshot for the first one. That's it. So with this information, you can now create yourself a little storefront, make yourself a little extra money on the Dark Tower server, and spend it on something else at Dadmart perhaps, which is my own personal store. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and if you like me, you can give me a subscribe. And hopefully we'll see you on the Minecraft server of Dark Tower. Thank you.